ReZero, Side Story, The Loving World Petra Saw Part 1.
The girl groaned as she furrowed her shapely eyebrows and made a troubled face. She was a pretty girl, and she was well dressed. She had reddish-brown hair that she wore above her shoulders and a big red ribbon that she wore on her head. Her clothes were made of simple materials, but she knew how to keep them colorful and fashionable, and how to bring out the beauty of her childish cuteness without using makeup. Petra Late, that was the girl's name, and she was also a beautiful girl who would be known in the future as the best-looking girl in the village of Alam. This was not just Petra's ego, but an objective assessment as well. She did not rest on her laurels, but made every effort to improve herself. At one time, Petra had a theory that cuteness is all that matters. Now that she had changed her mind a bit, Petra came to realize that cuteness is not everything, but her cuteness was still a weapon. There was no way Petra could neglect it. However, cuteness was no longer a universal weapon, and this was a blow to Petra, because, Petra, it's hard to be noticed by Subaru if you're just cute. For Petra, who was at that troubled age, the biggest problem at the moment was the love that resided in her small chest, the so-called problem of first love. Petra prided herself on being cute, but she had never been in love before. Alam was a small village, and the boys of Petra's age were her childhood friends. They were the same people she knew from back when she was sniveling and peeing the bed in her sleep. They were not romantic relationships, but more like family relationships, like those with siblings. However, the young men in the youth group, who were a little older than Petra, were like her father, if not her brothers. They were more and more difficult to fall in love with, and for Petra, who had never known anything outside of the village of Alam, love remained a distant thing. Of course, there were some childhood friends who had feelings for the cute Petra, but she was so used to listening to them that she didn't pay them any mind. So, this was Petra's first love, her first big show, her first big game. And Petra, who was not only cute but also cunning, did not sit on her looks. Petra, even with a quick glance, I can easily recognize Subaru when I see him. Petra nodded repeatedly, recalling the name of the person she was thinking of and his uncomplicated goodness. Natsuki Subaru, a servant who had taken up residence in the mansion of the Margrave, who was the lord near the village of Alam, was the person Petra had a fondness for. His demeanor was casual and overly familiar, and his black hair and eyes were unusual. To Petra's eyes, who was interested in clothing, his servant's uniform did not suit him very well. However, if she put aside these initial impressions, Subaru had a very kind and gentle personality. This was not to say that love was clouding Petra's eyes. Petra was aware of that. She was calm, even though she was suffering from the fever of her first love. Her natural competitive nature convinced her that she could not win this battle if she lost her cool. Petra, so, the first step is to know your enemy. If you don't, you can't do anything about it. Petra nodded vigorously as she made her plan. Do not sit on your laurels, do not neglect efforts to improve yourself, and do everything you can to know your enemy. That was Petra's conclusion and roughly the best mindset in this battle. Petra, are you done thinking? Petra, oh, I'm sorry, Mina. I've kept you waiting. Mina, no, I'm fine. But you were being so serious. It was actually Mina, who had been with her the whole time, who spoke to Petra after she had decided on a course of action after much deliberation. She was Petra's childhood friend. She was like a younger sister, but she was a little sad that Petra didn't spoil her these days, as she would soon have a younger brother or sister. Petra nodded her head in response to Mina's words, and then said, I see. Petra, I've got a fight that I don't want to lose. And speaking of which, what did you write on the bandage on Subaru's leg? Lucas and his friends seem to have written some weird stuff on it. Mina, me. I wrote, I love you. Petra, you love him? Petra's eyes widened in surprise as she was struck from an unexpected direction. Petra's astonished reaction surprised Mina, and Mina shook her head and said, yeah, Mina, I thanked him for his help. But everyone else wrote the same kind of thing, and Lucas and the others were writing so big that my writing was really small. Petra, oh okay, so just tell me. How much do you love him? Mina, how much? Petra, for example, if it was Subaru or me, who would you choose? Mina, A difficult question was thrown at her, and Mina looked extremely troubled. But Petra, who had asked the question, was trying hard not to let her inner impatience show on her face. If her sister's feelings were true, then a fierce battle would ensue that would be merciless and unforgiving. Petra shuddered at the thought of such a thing happening. But, Mina, comparing Subaru to Petra, I like you better. Petra, real. Mina, compared to Lucas, though, you're in trouble. Petra, I see, Lucas and… What? Did you just say you like Lucas, Mina? Petra's eyes widened at the unexpected confession, and Mina's face flushed. Petra felt a hot fluttering sensation in her chest at Mina's unexpected reaction. As it was, Petra hugged her cute friend and stroked her head with her hair tied up in twin tails. Petra, Mina, is cute. Cute, cute, cute. You're too good for Lucas. Mina, oh, don't say that in such a loud voice. Petra, you idiot. Petra, who had forgotten all about her last-minute fears, blushed as Mina shouted at her in such a way.
ReZero, Side Story, The Loving World Petra Saw Part 2.
Petra, I'm sorry that I ran out of the mansion without saying goodbye the other day. It's not something that you should apologize to Ram for. Ram will give you credit for apologizing, though, the pink-haired maid replied to Petra, who bowed politely, with an irreverent expression and attitude, but with an inscrutable kindness in her words. This was right after she had learned of Mina's love interest, and was relieved that her friend was not her love rival. A blushing Mina had pushed her away, and as Petra strolled through the village, she saw a familiar maid's uniform. She was a maid in uniform who worked at the Lord's mansion. She had come to the village to do some shopping, and Petra had caused her a little trouble a few days ago. The apology Petra just made was for that. However, the pink-haired maid, who called herself Ram, was not very friendly, and Petra, who was a bit braver than the others, could not hide her surprise. And then, instead of Ram, it was, nay Summer, what is this girl talking about? Ram, the children once came to see Barusu after he had been bitten by the dogs. They couldn't stand to see him so ugly then, so they left him alone. Petra, I didn't leave because Subaru was ugly. Ram, a joke. When Petra protested, Ram shrugged her shoulders with a nonchalant expression. Petra's lips pursed into an ooh as she savored the disappointment in her attitude. Her mischievous side is also part of the charm of Nay Summer. But, it may be difficult to understand at first, and so, it was the person standing beside Ram who stepped in front of Petra. A girl dressed in the same maid uniform as her. This girl's face was a perfect match for Ram's. She was another face Petra had seen many times in the village. She was one of the Lord's maids, though they had never exchanged words like this before. Rem, Nay Summer is my sister, I am Rem. What is your name? Petra, My name is Petra Late. Ah, I'm always happy to help the Lord. When asked by the blue-haired maid, Rem, Petra was a little pressured, but she managed to reply. In response, Rem closed her pale blue eyes and smiled. Rem, surely Roswell Summer will be pleased to hear you say that. Petra, and thank you to Rem-san as well. I was told later that you and Subaru came to the forest to save us. Rem. No, not at all. That all was because of Subaru-kun. At Petra's words of thanks, Rem was humble and then boastfully puffed out her ample chest. Then, Rem seemed to be looking heartily proud at something. Rem, it was Subaru-kun who had figured out that you were in the forest and in that particular place. Rem only helped a little bit with that. And after that, Rem caused a lot of trouble for Subaru-kun and Nay Summer. Rem lowered her eyebrows and mentioned her mistake. However, Petra's attention was not on the subtle expression of remorse, but on the change of expression that she had just shown. Reddening her cheeks, loosening her lips, lowering the corners of her eyes, and placing her palms on her hot face, Rem told her about that day Petra felt a certain passion in her attitude, and that passion had only one possible destination, based on the current trend of statements. Rem, Subaru-kun is. The smooth movement of Rem's tongue as she talked about Subaru with vigor. The bitter face of Ram, standing right beside her, proved the intensity of her words. What surprised Petra, of course, was the passion, but also the sudden change of Rem's blushing cheeks. Petra and Rem had been friendly with each other for a long time, even though they only saw each other from a distance. However, when she came to the village to get the necessities for the mansion, they never exchanged any friendly words. This was largely due to the fact that Rem had a cold impression of being inhospitable to others. However, that cold impression had now melted away, and Rem had the loveliness of a girl with a heart and soul. This made Petra smile, even though she was younger than her, but at the same time, it made Petra feel a sense of danger, because it was obvious that Rem was feeling something special about Subaru. Petra, stare. Quietly, Petra let the initial shock sink in and quietly observed Rem. She had short, silky blue hair, clear, jewel-like pale blue eyes, and a face that was not beautiful, but rather cute and well-shaped, with a wealth of expressions that changed from one moment to the next. Her slender white arms and legs, large breasts, and revealing modified uniform made her a formidable opponent. Ram has nothing to do with this. On the other hand, Ram, who had the impression of sharp and dignified beauty compared to the softer Rem, answered that way ahead of Petra's eyes that were assessing her enemy. It was as if she had read Petra's inner thoughts, which made her nervous for a moment, but it was probably just an accidental remark. In any case, Ram's attitude towards Subaru was not that of anger. In other words, Petra, once again, I am Petra. It is nice to meet you, Rem. Yes, thank you for your kindness. Rem is Subaru-kun's Rem. Petra's offered hand was squeezed back, and she stared at Rem, who smiled softly, with a strong determination. Rem tilted her head with a face that didn't match the cute hostility of such a young girl. That is, in only having introduced herself, did she not hide her thoughts and feelings in the slightest.
Re-Zero, Side Story, The Loving World Petra Saw Part 3.
Question mark. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The shouts of radio calisthenics stretched up into the sky around the square of Alam village. Radio calisthenics had become a morning ritual for the villagers, and Natsuki Subaru was the one who got up early and moved his body in front of the villagers gathered in the square, calling out to them. Now that he had recovered from the wounds that he sustained in the witch beast incident and was again in good health, Subaru visited Alam village every morning and spent time with the villagers in relaxing radio calisthenics. This was a great opportunity for Petra to be able to see Subaru every day. The truth of it was, doing radio calisthenics was embarrassing for her, but it was worth it. Petra, without this, I would lose out to Rem-san, who he sees every day. Acknowledging Rem as her love rival, Petra spent her days unilaterally vowing to fight the good fight. Without this strong awareness, the advantage of Subaru's co-worker, Rem, was undeniable. Of course, the frequency of seeing someone is not an essential condition to make love come true, but it's hard not to develop feelings for them. It's a natural desire to see the person one loves every day, win or lose. So, radio calisthenics was convenient for Petra. It was worth the effort of waking up all the adults, including her parents, and even Mauser, for this. Eventually, it became a habit, and now everyone was gathering together without Petra having to wake them up, and a pleasant morning came. Subaru, all right, victory. Let's gather. See, there's a reward for being here today. After a final shout, an enthusiastic Subaru raised his hand and gathered the villagers together. What Subaru held in his hand was a sweet potato stamp with a picture engraved on the cross-section of the sweet potato. It was made by the dexterous Subaru, and the villagers who participated in the event would receive a stamp as a prize for their participation. There was nothing to be gained by collecting them, but many people looked forward to them because there was a different sweet potato stamp every day. Petra was one of them, and she loved everything Subaru did for the most part. Subaru, oh, Petra, you did a great job of keeping your arms and legs moving this morning. Petra, really? Was it cute? Was it cute? Subaru, oh, it was cute, it was cute. And for such a cute Petra, I'll give you a bonus, and... When it was Petra's turn to have her potato stamp card pressed, Subaru's hand slipped in response to Petra's excitement. When he tried to regain his grip, the potato stamp fell to the ground and rolled around. In a panic, Subaru scurried off to pick up that potato stamp, and then, ? Yes. Don't panic. You're just scatterbrained, Subaru, who even says that these days, ? Don't make fun of me. Before Subaru was able to, a person had reached for the potato stamp, picked it up, and handed it to him. In response to Subaru's comment, the other person poked his forehead with their finger. It was a person wearing a white robe with a hood covering their head. The tone of her voice and their thin appearance led Petra to believe that it was a woman. Petra wondered if there was such a person around here. Petra, hey, Subaru. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's resume. Let's stamp it. With a pop, a potato stamp was pressed on the participation card, but Petra couldn't pay attention to the pattern. Petra's eyes were glued to Subaru, who was in front of her, the whole time. Just before, Subaru was looking somewhat happy, stroking his poked forehead and relaxing his lips. To Petra's eyes, Subaru looked too happy. Girl in robe, huh? You dropped this. Here, Petra pretended that the participation card had been taken by the wind, and deliberately sent it flying at the feet of the girl in the white robes. The white-robed girl picked it up and handed it to Petra with a casual gesture. Petra's eyes widened, peering at the shape of such an opponent from directly below. This was a woman with jewel-like amethyst eyes, long, beautiful silver hair, and a well-shaped face that made Petra tremble. A formidable foe, indeed. Petra had decided that her strongest lifelong love rival would probably be Rem. Victory over her was the condition for Petra's first love. It would be a fierce, hard-fought battle, even for the cute and unrivaled Petra. However, here an enemy suddenly rose on the board, much to Petra's dismay. Girl in robe, dash? What's wrong? Her gesture of tilting her head slightly, without malice, was also charming, and the other party curiously gazed at Petra. Petra did not know how the woman herself felt about Subaru. However, it was clear that Subaru had special feelings for her, just as Petra had for Subaru, and Petra, struggling with her first love, was unable to find a good way to fight back. Petra, glee, girl in robe, eh? Why? The other party was surprised by her childish behavior, and Petra snatched the participation card from their hands. She decided to declare war on them with such a childish approach. Petra's battle continued. Being cute was not enough to win. The world was a very big place,